Smith. Susan, how are you? And you know what? It's great to kind of get you back on, especially with, people really talking about the books. A lot of teachers are interested, and it's great to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me.
So let's kind of delve into the two characters and why it's different than other children's books in the fact that they're almost real life characters because they're your sons, but also the fact of really discussing children with differences.
Yeah. So this is a series of 12 books, and it's the Under the Couch series. And these are based on my sons. These is based on my experiences with them and learning about them having ADHD and then both of them having dyslexia as well. This topic was a little bit foreign to me as a mother with two boys that both have these learning opportunities because I never grew up knowing about anything like this. Like in growing up in school, I knew the term, we called it ADD, and it was the kid in the classroom who was climbing the walls or being extremely disruptive, could not sit in his or her seat. And then fast forward, I have, let's start with my oldest, Spencer. He was very good in class. The teachers were always like, "No, he sits well. He's never disruptive." But he just wasn't present in class. He was off somewhere else staring out the window. So, really, these books are written based on stories I used to tell them, but the insights in these books are based on actually my experiences with them as a mom and watching them grow up and learn about themselves and me learn about them as well.
Yeah, and that learning experience is very important. You kind of see specifically enough through this so that people can see through the lens of what you saw in so many ways. With it's not completely the story is not completely true because you didn't have a magical couch, but
Although I do have that couch,
you do
and
it.
they did play under the couch, so
Okay.
so a lot of that was based. But I remember, Neil, when in fifth grade, we had a substitute teacher come in and take over the class because the other teacher could no longer teach. And during parent-teacher conferences, she said, "I'm not supposed to say this, but she goes, I have ADHD," and she said, "and I am convinced your son has it." And that was the first time that somebody had told me that. And I mean, again, this is my oldest, and I thought, oh, she does, what is she talking about? And honestly, looking back now, I'm like, how did I miss the signs? But as a parent, I wasn't looking for those signs. But now and when your kids just adapt
Yep.
and get by, but it really wasn't fair to him. I would have earlier on helped him to get some extra support to understand how to better navigate, knowing now how he learns and what was going on with his brain.
Exactly, because you learn so many things, and that's the hope that again with your families that have children with dyslexia or ADHD, read these books because then they can see that the characters are related to them in so many ways.
And what I love about the characters in these books is they learn, the themes are really a lot about self-love and self-discovery in a fun way. I mean, these kids go, as you know, they go under the couch, they go on these really fun, sometimes dangerous adventures, but throughout, they learn life lessons, but they learn also about themselves. And the reader, it's not in your face. Like you may not say, it doesn't say, oh, Spencer has ADHD and so does Justin, and Justin has dyslexia. But I've talked to a few kids who have read them who recognize themselves and some of the qualities and characteristics. And what I like about the books is that they really leverage their superpowers. Like they realize they're not limitations. They're really kind of some superpowers because they really do have some ability to look at things differently. And so it's not, hey, you learn differently. That's not the theme. The theme is how to understand and really leverage your strengths and leverage your differences.
Yeah, and that's important to leverage them and this see that. I think that when we were talking, how important it is for teachers to see this as well. Now that they can, especially when there's a lot of diversity in the classroom, and especially kids that have special needs to be able to have a book like this.
Yeah, especially neurodiversity, right?
Right.
And schools are even more leaning into teaching students based on how they best learn. And so I think these books are perfect for the classroom for teachers to be able to open up that discussion and talk about how do you learn best and what do you recognize and how does the character adapt to some of these situations. For an example, the youngest, Justin, has struggles reading, but he learns through this that, not being able to read well, or it does not mean that you are not smart. Right. And then like the nanny plays a big role in these books. And she says, Einstein was dyslexic. Einstein probably was ADHD and brilliant, brilliant. And look at how much he contributed. So that's something that I think a teacher could point to and say, how do you go about addressing it? Because I wish I had gotten my kids, like I said, help earlier on. It took me a while to get them thoroughly tested and to understand. But for teachers, it does open up the opportunity to discuss it with the kids in a very real and interactive way.
And that's important. And I think that how they get along too, because in classrooms that have a lot of diversity, there has to be the ability for everyone to work together.
Right, right. That's a perfect way of saying it.
Teach that cooperation. Those different life lessons are in these books.
Yes, yeah, learning to play off each other's strengths, learning to work together. I mean, teamwork and together and all of that is, that whole unity. That's a big theme as well throughout the series. What makes these books really not just the topics and that the fact that the two characters really have these learning opportunities, but the books are written for the reluctant reader. I have my youngest really will not pick up a book. It's almost too daunting to pick up a book and read it. He struggles with it, not only the focus, but just getting through and picking it up. So these I call them kind of bite size. They're a little over 100 pages each. There's 12 chapters. Wrote it at kind of the second grade reading level. The content is for the 10-year-old boy or 10-year-old girl, but it's written very easy to read, but a lot of different themes that are very interesting and perfect for the classroom and discussion topics.
And you see second to fourth grade can read this, right? What grade levels you say?
Yeah, it could go. I have friends who have read them who are like, I really love these. So it's really, I call it kids of any age, but it is targeted towards the reluctant reader who maybe doesn't want to pick up a really thick book or has would benefit from maybe that second grade reading level. So it's very easy to read, because it's not written for, the college student. It's really written for that second, third grade level, but the content could be for anywhere up to sixth grade very easily, or for adults who just enjoy adventure and some fun reading.
When you think about the reluctant reader, let's, dive deeper into that process because they don't like to sit down and read books. So you have to really entertain them. And that's what you thought about when you're writing these books.
It was. There's very interactive. So I try to keep it lively. The adventures are the fun part and the banter between the two brothers. I mean, throughout the 12 books, the relationship of not only the self-love and self-discovery, but the relationship of these two brothers and so that whole thing, and there's some mysteries involved as well. So that kind of keeps people engaged, especially I would think the reader who sometimes would get really bored or lose interest quickly.
And that's the important part of it. I think that what's really awesome, what you've done, and we're going to talk more about this on the next podcast, is providing a resource for teachers. And we
Yes.
also got to talk about homeschool parents as well, where they can use these books, but also utilize them in a way that's not just reading the book, but connecting lesson plans and activities.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I look forward to talking about that because we do have resources on the website, which is underthecouchbooks.com for teachers, for educators, for parents, to utilize. So these can be fun for the kids to read, but there's a lot of life lessons in there and a lot of good content that would be great in the classroom or for homeschooling.